What's up, Adam?
Is this Michigan game even bigger than some others because it's a chance to score a victory over one of the top teams in the league?
Yeah, I mean, I think what we've been able to do is we've been able to get ourselves back in the conversation. You know, we got off to a very tough start, 2-5. You know, with the 2 wins this week, to get to 4-5, if you look in the league, it's a huge logjam. You know, you got a couple teams up at the top and then a bunch of teams with 4 and 5 losses. So I think what it's done really in the second half of the season, it's just forced us to, there's no margin for error. You know, we were able to get out of it and without too much damage through the first half, and we have a number of road games coming up, and this is a big one. And I know our guys sense the urgency of the game, especially an opportunity to play against such a good team like Michigan.
Can you use, Brian was talking about this, kind of the vibes from the documentary First Dance, you know, kind of a reminder of what it was. Can you channel that into this season?
Yeah, I hope so. You know, we got a little bit of a sneak peek as a team before the Penn State game, and I thought it really helped our guys, you know, just to see themselves, you know, with that kind of passion and spirit and hunger, and, you know, brings back great memories of doing well and what that journey was all about.
Yeah.
I think it jump-started us a little bit. You know, we had inspired play against Penn State, and I thought we had really inspired play on the road against Minnesota. So I think anything like that, we do that a lot throughout. I'm a big believer in that when teams or individuals are struggling, sometimes showing a guy, you know, highlights of himself, doing great things, seeing the ball go in the basket, being energetic. Sometimes it can remind you of, you know, who you are when you're at your best, when it's not going so well.
Were you at your best with the 2 logistical dancing?
I was absolutely at my best. I've always fancied myself as a great singer and dancer, and I'm glad the world got to see it back in '92. And the Running Man was in back then, so I don't want to hear any crap about, like, that was the dance at that point, and I had it down. So
with the 2-2-1 press, I guess, one, what do you call that, and also how has that helped you guys on the defensive end?
Well, I'd love to give you my secret name calls, but I can't do that. But you know, I think one of the things it's done is it's done a couple things for us. First, the guys, it gave us kind of new life. You know, we were struggling. You know, on the defensive end, we were getting hurt in different areas of the floor. We were really getting beat a lot on dribble penetration. We were fouling a lot. You know, we were one of the top teams in the league in fouls. Guys were in foul trouble almost every game, putting our hands on guys. I think what it's enabled us to do is kind of put a little bit of a stop sign up in transition where teams have to take time to get the ball up the floor. It's allowed us to set up our zone defense on the other side, and, you know, it's really forced our guys to have to communicate. You cannot play an effective zone defense if you don't talk. So I think that we were having problems with communication on the floor, and what the zone is, it's forced those guys to talk. It's given us a little life. And I think more than anything, the players believe in it. So whether it's a great defense or not a great defense, defense is so much predicated on if the guys believe in what you're trying to do. And it's also enabled us to play different lineups. You know, we've been able to go small at times and have gains out there with Vic and Scotty. You know, I think it's helped Aaron Falzone. You know, everyone knows some of his limitations with his leg troubles. You know, sometimes it's kind of allowed us to use his offensive weapons, and then on the defense be able to use him in the zone a little bit. So I think it suits our team. Our guys have liked it. I think we've gotten a little bit better at it with each game we've played, and we have to continue to improve because coaches in this league are so good. Once they've seen it a little bit and you see a steady diet of film, there's going to be adjustments made, and coaches are going to try to give it different looks, and we're going to have to do a great job to continue to improve as teams get more adjusted to playing against it.
Back in the day when Cheney played this matchup, though, you know, it was a benefit when he moved on in the tournament because people hadn't seen it before. One, does your matchup bear any similarities to his, and do you benefit from other teams not seeing it?
I do think it helps when you have a little bit different style. You know, so many teams are playing man-to-man in the league. You know, I think you see it with a team like Syracuse. Like there's a little bit of a mental thing with it. Like, oh, it's going to be a zone tonight. You know, it's a different defense, and you know, I think, you know, especially if you've seen a team for the first time. I think Minnesota, we had to really communicate and do a good job because we played them twice in 2 weeks. So the second game, you know, there's going to be a little bit of a familiarity. You know, I remember when we played, I was part of the staff back in 2001. We played Temple with Cheney, and we won by like 1 point in the Garden. and we had to play them again. We had already scheduled a game to play them in Philly a week later, and we ended up winning by like 30-some points because our guys were used to it. You know, they were so. Like I said, coaches are great in this league, so we have to continue to make adjustments with our defense as they're getting used to it, and other teams are starting to see maybe where there's some holes or where you can attack it.
D-Mac was talking about the challenge of trying to keep everybody happy, getting Vic in his spot, Scotty, Derek in his own offensive game. What do you tell him about that?
Well, I think as a point guard, inherently, that's always kind of your job, is to run the team and make sure that your scorers are getting the ball and then finding areas for yourself to be aggressive. I feel like we're playing better. You know, watching us in film, our offense is moving better. Guys are touching the ball. We're cutting harder. We're sharing the ball better than we have. I think we're attacking the basket better. You know, for a while, we were settling for long contested shots, not getting into the paint, you know, not putting pressure on the defense when they are closing out to our shooters. So I'm noticing a lot of improvement. I think the morale, obviously, when you win a little bit, the morale improves, and so I sense a little bit better bounce to our step, and I think the guys are excited. You know, we talked about last week when you're 2-5. If we could find a way to get those 2 games at the midway point and get ourselves back to 4 wins, you know, there were going to be a lot of teams in the middle of the pack, and so, you know, you have 9 games left, and I think what it's just done, like I said before, is we don't have really there's no room for more slip-ups. You know, we gotta play very well these last 9 games. It's not going to be easy, but I think our guys are excited for the chance.
Building togetherness on this team, what would have been some of the challenges to that? Because that was a huge strength for you guys last year.
Well, I think the biggest challenge is sometimes when you're together for a long time and maybe you bring a group back, the assumption that it's just going to be there. You know, like you just assume because we've played together and I've coached these guys that when you start a new season, whatever you had the previous year was just going to be there. And, you know, I think that's the one thing that we kind of didn't do a great job of, and I didn't do a great job of kind of forcing that issue more and forcing these guys to come together. And, you know, the thing that I'm proud about with the guys is we've had our struggles. You know, we've overcome kind of the big expectations and where it's like the let down mentality. They haven't been as good as advertised, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, I'm proud of the guys for continuing to fight and trying to make some of the season. You know, it could have been very easy for us at certain times to kind of cave in and just play out the string, but these guys don't want to do that. We know there's a lot of ball left. We know there's still goals for us. You know, all the goals we have are still attainable. Now we got to play really well. We got to string wins together. But I'm proud of the group for kind of fighting out of some of the things we were going through early in the season.
You mentioned showing the guys highlights of them having some success, doing well. Does that happen at all with a guy like Isaiah who isn't?
Yeah, sure. I mean, you know, Isaiah just has to stay ready. You know, I think anytime you're in a season and you're trying to find things, you know, I've been very pleased with the job that Jordan has done. So it's nothing against Isaiah. And he actually came in at the Indiana game. He got some baskets, and he's going to get his opportunity. I mean, we're working with him every day. The coaches, we're keeping him ready. And throughout the course of a long season, everybody's going to be needed at certain points. And you know, there's going to be a time where he's going to be called upon here pretty soon, and we just got to make sure he's ready to help us when he gets that chance.
Anthony, how did you come across him and find him?
Anthony, I was actually at an AAU tournament, the Nike Peach Jam down in Augusta. Unfortunately, I was not playing Augusta National. I was in a hot, sweaty gym, and I was actually at a game to see another guy, and you know, watching another player, and he was on the other team, and just struck my eyes. His athleticism, his ability, and I liked his demeanor. I liked how he played, his junkyard dog mentality on the floor, and that's kind of how, from that game, we reached out and started to build our relationship, and that's kind of where it grew.
Was he at Kingston then, or was he up in New Hampshire?
Well, he was playing AAU at the time, so he was up in New Hampshire, but it was in the summer he was playing with his AAU team, the City Rocks. So, and he actually, you know, he played with some really good players on it. Kevin Herter from Maryland, Quentin Rose from Temple, it was a really, really talented team he was playing with in AAU. So, but I was just enamored with how he played, and I thought he brought a lot of attributes, would bring a lot of attributes to the team that we were missing, especially what we were losing with some of the stuff Sanjay had brought us.
So what would those attributes be?
Just I call it a junkyard dog mentality. His ability to guard all kinds of different players. I remember going to watch him, and he's trying to guard DeAndre Ayton. And then you watch him, and he's trying to guard the best point guards in the country. And his ability to compete. I loved his ability to rebound, his athleticism. Just thought he played hard all the time, and I also thought he had. The more you watched him, thought he was going to have a big ceiling because you could see that there were some skills there. He was a little bit raw offensively, but with work, that he could become an outstanding player.
Did you think he'd contribute this much as a true?
I hoped he would, and I think some of the changes we've made have really helped him. I think for any freshman, sometimes you can get paralyzed by all the thinking you have to do on the floor, whether it's the offensive schemes, the defensive schemes, and I think with us picking up a little bit defensively, doing some more zone, the way we're playing has helped him kind of play more freely, be a little bit more athletic, and kind of use his natural instincts. So that's why I think it's a direct result why he's played much better the last couple weeks.